Hammer's been dropped.
I see it's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, November 18, rescheduled meeting of the Mound Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Planning Commission Council Liaison Kathy McEnany.
Aye.
Planning Commission Member Sherry Wallace.
Here.
Planning Commission Vice Chair Jason Baker.
Here.
Planning Commission Member Drew Heel.
Here.
Planning Commission Member Samantha Wacker.
Here.
Planning Commission Member Kristen Young.
Here.
Planning Commission Chair David Good.
Present. You should have received the agenda via email from Sarah. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as distributed.
Motion to approve the agenda as distributed.
Second?
Motion and second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. You also received via email meeting minutes of the regular September 2, 2025 meeting of the Planning Commission. Are there any changes to those minutes? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
Motion to approve minutes as distributed.
Second?
We have a motion and a second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Board of Adjustment and Appeals, we have planning case 25-11.
Good evening, Chair Good, members of the Planning Commission, staff, applicants, and guests. I'm Sarah Smith. I'm the planner, and I will be presenting an overview of the first variance case that we have on tonight's agenda. Planning case number 2511 is for a lakeshore variance for the property at 5459 Bartlett Boulevard. They are requesting removal of an existing pervious paver that's on the lake side of the property.
Turn the lights.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Thanks for your indulgence here. We'll make it a little bit easier to see. The property owners recently purchased the property at the subject address, and they are requesting a variance approval to replace that existing hard surface patio on grade with a pervious at-grade deck in the same location. The existing improvement, which is basically a lakeside patio, was constructed by a former owner. It is not meeting the lakeshore setback. It's also contributing to hardcover. And the Fossenson family recently purchased the property earlier this summer, and they would like to replace that existing at-grade concrete or landscape patio with a non-roofed, no hardcover underneath, at-grade deck with quarter-inch openings in the same location. And so because the existing structure is not meeting current setbacks, they do need a variance to allow replacement of that structure in its current location on the rear or south side of their property at 5459 Bartlett Boulevard. Next slide, please. Included on the overhead, you'll see the location of the subject lot. It includes an existing single-family home on the south side of Bartlett Boulevard. It's zoned R1, guided low density. There is an existing house on the property. There's also an existing detached garage and guest cottage on the property. There was an approval back in 2017 for a previous owner that allowed them to do a expansion permit by putting on a garage addition and a master suite. It also allowed hardcover on the property up to 45%. Next slide, please. Included on the overhead, you'll see what I would call a enlarged version of the structure. Basically, this is the house. This is the location of the existing patio. It's also the same box that they are proposing to take up that concrete or landscaped patio and replace that with a pervious at-grade deck that would not count towards hardcover. As depicted on the survey, you'll see that the existing house does not meet lakeshore setback. Therefore, this existing structure, which is about 14 feet out, extending from the south side of the house, also does not meet the code. I think one of the important things to remember, specifically with this particular case, is that this structure is coming out, it's contributing towards hardcover, and it's being replaced with an at-grade structure very similar, but it will remove that square footage that's currently counting towards their overage on the subject property at present. As is noted, this is a lot of record. We do allow 40% hardcover subject to best management practices. The property has about 45%, or was allowed 45% hardcover as part of the expansion permit. Information provided by the property owner's representative is we think they're about 43 to 44%. With the changes that they're proposing to make, specifically with the replacement of the hard deck to a soft deck in the same location, it will actually bring hardcover down under the 40%, which we view as favorable as staff. Included on the graphic, you'll see some of the changes that they're proposing to make: hardscape removal with some landscaping, the existing pervious patio, concrete pad below, as well as some removal up here. Those are all tasks or items that they're looking at removing so as to get them under the 40% allowance for a lot of record. As is normal and customary, we did route the application to staff, consultants, departments, agencies. We did receive a comment back from the area hydrologist from the DNR who reviewed the variance and offered a recommendation that if the variance was to be recommended for approval and approved by the council, they would offer a courtesy comment that we include a comment to require a shoreline buffer to help minimize wave action, to compensate, for the setback, but basically to help with the overall encroachment into the lakeshore setback. We did provide that information to the property owner, who expressed that they are receptive. They're also very mindful of improvements that are being made to the property, as they want to incorporate as many improvements related to water quality and stormwater management and soft improvements to improve the overall environmental and ecological conditions on the property, and we again view that as favorable. The Planning Commission's role this evening is to review the application with the applicant, see if there might be comments from folks that might be joining us as adjacent property owners or neighboring property owners. As is normal and customary, we did send out notice to folks that are in the subject area. We went down a couple of lots because we feel that they would be the most impacted, specifically on the lakeside. I have not received any comments, but we could have some folks here. Other than the comment that we received back from the DNR and comments of no comments from Hennepin County, those are the only responses that we've received on the variance request. The Planning Commission can consider the application with the recommendation of approval that's been offered by staff, subject to findings and conditions. You can, if you feel that there's additional information that's required, you can visit with staff and or the applicant and or the representative about that. And if you're comfortable moving forward with a recommendation, then that recommendation would be forwarded onto the City Council for action at an upcoming meeting. I believe the applicants and the representative, Mr. Scott Gates, are here, and I'm sure they'll be happy to respond to any questions that either members of the Planning Commission or any of our guests or our staff may have. As I indicated, we as staff did offer a recommendation of approval in the planning report to include both findings and conditions, and that does include the condition recommended by the DNR to incorporate a landscape natural buffer. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions. I also just want to point out from a housekeeping perspective that we are monitoring the 60-day clock. If we do need an additional time, I think we have until on or around December for the council to make the decision. We would execute a 60-day extension, but we'll see where everything goes from this evening and moving forward at a future council meeting date. And I will be happy to stand for questions.
Questions or comments for Sarah?
I have a question, Sarah.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that a deck is considered hardcover. So how did, versus a patio, how did you calculate that?
So the patio existing counts towards hardcover
Yeah.
because the water does not go through.
Right.
When that comes out and a deck goes in, as long as it doesn't have a roof, it has 1/4-inch openings, and it doesn't have landscaping with plastic or anything hard underneath, we do not consider that to be hard. So therefore, the replacement of the existing patio coming out and the new deck that's proposed results in a decrease of hardcover in the square footage of the current footprint.
Have we seen the design for the deck? Do we know it's not butting up close to that?
Oh.
I mean, that might be a good,
We haven't received the building permit yet, but that's
Okay.
why in order for it to be not counted, that has to be demonstrated. But I think Mr. Gates or the property owners will be able to weigh in on that. But that is one of, I would say that's one of the highlights of the proposed change, is that we're going from hard to soft with the new deck. And it's still on grade,
Right.
and it's not getting any bigger.
well, and I wonder if that needs to be in the recommendations. You know, as we go forward, is that it can't have the,
Yeah, it needs to qualify as pervious. Right.
right.
It's a good comment.
Right.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Wallace.
yeah.
Further questions or comments for Sarah?
And then another condition you did talk about is permits from other agencies. So they would be required to get a permit from the MCWD, correct?
If either a permit or a waiver, if it triggers their amount, the watershed gives us a little bit of discretion for soil disturbance, that if it falls within certain boxes and we don't think it meets, we can approve it. But if we're,
But it is within the
but it's
50
within the
feet,
purview,
yeah.
yes, it's
Yeah.
within the
So it
watershed
would-
district, yeah. We have an understanding with their staff, like certain small things don't trigger it, but if we feel that it's close, we have them reach out to the watershed,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
This recommendation for a buffer?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about a recommendation. It doesn't sound like it's mandatory.
It's not mandatory, but we have seen this in a recent case earlier this year, when there was work in the bluff and/or the bluff impact zone, whereas kind of a countermeasure for activity that's occurring in there, it's a mitigation strategy. So that is something that, it's not new, we've seen it before.
So if they were not to put the vegetative buffer in there, would that cancel the variance?
Well, if it's included as a recommendation, condition,
It's a condition or recommendation?
Yeah, it needs, unless it gets removed either as part of planning commission or council, but
Okay.
from our perspective, we think it's reasonable.
Right.
And again, I think that was also the impression I got from the property owners, is they also thought it was reasonable. A lot of
Not an
people
issue.
landscape the shoreline.
Okay.
But they're here if you want to have a visit with them about that.
Okay.
I would comment on the buffer too. I think you need to be a little bit more specific on what type of buffer you're looking at. I mean, are we talking 10 feet, 5 feet? You know, I mean, because really to get the benefit of a shoreline buffer, I think the DNR recommends something like 15 feet or whatever. So it
Yeah, we
might
have.
be something.
We have received previously, I think, the list of shoreline recommendations for buffers that we've provided previously.
Okay.
But I would say that's probably in the realm of it, but that's why it does say in there that it's subject to review and acceptance by the city.
Right, right. I don't know what our guidelines are
Mm-hmm.
for that, but it might be something to look at.
Good point.
Okay, further questions for Sarah? Hearing none. Amongst the planning commission,
Thank you, everyone.
any comments?
If they want to talk, I'd like to hear about their dock
Well,
plans.
We're going to address the audience here in just a minute.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
No, I don't think I have any.
Okay, is the applicant in the audience? And would one of you like to come forward and address the commission? Please?
Sure.
And our custom is to ask you to state your name and your address.
Yep, I'm Scott Gates, 4407 Wilshire. I'm the representative for the applicant. I think the staff did their usual wonderful job at outlining the concerns and issues in the project. I would note that there are elevations, it's kind of hard to see them, proposed side elevation with the deck and the current existing elevation with the patio. So that may help get a little bit of a view. You asked about the plan, planning commission member Wallace, and we haven't submitted a permit yet, but we did submit the elevations and that kind of thing with it. So I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
Questions from Mr. Gates?
Yeah, I'd like to ask, what are you thinking for the deck? Will it be like a maintenance-free deck? Will it butt up to each other? You know, some of those have the things there where there isn't a 1/4-inch gap.
It'll be a 1/4-inch gap.
Okay.
That's a requirement of the pervious
Okay.
consideration. And that's really a condition effectively of the approval. Be a maintenance-free, I believe, ends up being less than 2 steps. So it's about 16 inches of height.
Okay.
Will not have a railing on it as the plan. There might be some planters, boxes, things like that, that would be part of it. At the same time, I'll maybe address your question or comment on the buffer. Staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but their primary concern was they wanted a little bit of a buffer because there's a slightly higher mass. It's not at grade. It's a little bit above grade. They wanted a little bit more screening than mitigation, if that makes sense, than managing water.
Okay.
So a buffer, most of the time when they speak buffer, they're talking about managing water
Right.
shed. This lot's really level, so we don't have a lot of flow, some, but not a lot of flow to the lake. So
Okay. Okay.
I think it would be more plant, get a little bit of height for some plants to soften that shoreline.
Oh,
Further
But-
questions from Mr. Gates? Hearing none, thank you for coming forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the commission regarding this variance request? Seeing no hands in the air, I assume no. Okay, further discussion amongst the commission. Any other thoughts or comments anyone would like to make?
I think it's a pretty simple one. I don't think it's kind of variance. Yeah. I like it going from non-pervious to pervious, that makes sense, so, pretty
Yeah,
simple.
and they're building in the same footprint, so
Yeah,
they're not
exactly,
encroaching any further. They're reducing hard cover.
exactly. This is a win-win, and it's gonna look nice.
Okay, on page 7 of your agenda, you see that staff has recommended approval of the Lakeshore variance with 4 conditions and 4 findings of fact.
So I will make a recommendation to approve planning case 2511 Lakeshore variance, including staff recommendations 1 through 4, plus an additional condition that the new deck meet requirement for pervious, plus the findings of facts 1 through 4, all on page 7.
You hear the motion, do I have a second?
Second?
We have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ma'am?
thank you. For the folks that are with us, we are planning on including the variance on the November 25th City Council agenda because we have a recommendation of approval subject to findings and conditions. And from the Planning Commission, it's our intent to include it on the consent agenda. And so it'll be acted on along with a handful of other housekeeping-related type matters, with one motion, 1 second, accepted unless somebody wants to pull it for questions, but that's scheduled for next Tuesday. And we'll be sending out mailed notice tomorrow.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, moving on. Planning case 25-13, expansion permit, new/replacement house.
Set it up on that corner. It is a little bit.
Take your time, we don't want to crash it.
Well, I usually do that.
I'll take your word for it. Chair Good, members of the commission, my name is Mia Colorado Mansfield. I'm a consulting planner with HKGI for the city of Mound. I will be presenting on the expansion permit request at 2971 Cambridge Lane. The property is located on Cambridge Lane on the east side of Cooks Bay. The house that is currently there today was constructed in 1914 and is non-conforming on the rear and north side setbacks. The request is for an expansion permit. The applicant is proposing a new or replacement house to be constructed predominantly in the existing house footprint on the lot. The proposed house will add a second story and
They said they can't hear that into the mic. No, and then, yeah, pull that up towards you.
is this better?
Talk louder.
Okay, I will talk louder.
Be assertive.
Out and proud.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for saying.
The applicant is proposing a new or replacement house to be constructed predominantly in the existing house footprint. The proposed house will add a second story that maintains the existing non-conforming rear setback of 9.84 feet and the north side setback of 1.4 feet. The proposed house will decrease the non-conforming hardcover on the site, but will still be over the 40% limit for a lot of record. The proposed new construction will expand the footprint of the house from 1,351 square feet to 1,551 square feet. The areas of expansion are all occurring in conforming ways. So on the diagram here, the letters show where these changes are. A is for the patio, which will be reconstructed slightly smaller. The green is the new house on the screen, and the red dashed line shows where the existing house is that will be removed. So there's a accessory shed in the southeast corner that's going to be removed. That's letter B. The garage is going to expand to the south and east, where you can see letter C. Similarly, the southern edge of the house and garage are going to shift slightly closer to that southern property line, still conforming with the setback. The existing stairs on the rear of the house are going to shift slightly, again, still conforming, and they will be replacing the driveway with permeable pavers. The property is guided by the comprehensive plan as low-density residential, allowing for single-family, attached and detached housing. The applicant is proposing to continue using this property for a single-family home. It is zoned as an R1A, single-family residential property. The lot is considered a lot of record, and it is also a lakeshore lot. A few other existing conditions on the site. The minimum lot area for an R1A lot of record is 6,000 square feet. This property has a lot area of 4,005 square feet, so you'll know it is smaller than the minimum area. It is also located adjacent to Brighton Commons, which means that although the rear setback of the house is non-conforming to the property line, it still is conforming to the lakeshore setback, located about 60 feet from the ordinary high water line due to the Brighton Commons being between the property and the lakeshore. Here you can see in the top image the existing house, and then below that the proposed expansion house, again with that red line showing the overlapping footprint. As mentioned earlier, the proposed construction will increase the footprint from 1,351 square feet to 1,551 square feet, again, in a conforming manner. The existing house is 1 story, and the proposed house will be 2.5 stories. It will meet the maximum 35-foot requirement, as the proposed height is 31 feet, so it's under that limit. And the expansion permit is required in this case because adding that 2nd story is increasing that non-conforming area, but it is maintaining the existing non-conformity. It's not increasing that distance there. And again, the patio on that northern side is also non-conforming. It's being replaced with a slightly smaller setback there, but still non-conforming. Here you can see the setbacks, the required setbacks. So front yard, side yard to the south, and ordinary high water line setbacks are all being met. And the existing rear setback and that deck setback are being maintained at the same level of nonconformance, so 9.84 feet in the rear, which is less than the 15 feet required, and 1.4 feet for the deck, which is less than the 6 feet. It's worth noting that the building itself is at 7.5 feet, which is conforming to that north side setback. Hardcover on the site is currently 64.69%. The limit for a lot of record is 40%. The applicant is proposing to replace the driveway with permeable pavers, and this allows them to reduce the hardcover on the site to 48.31%. So while this is still non-conforming, it is improved from the existing conditions. And again, the entire lot is a smaller lot than the normal lot size for an R1A house. It's also worth noting that the access to the adjacent property to the north requires use of a northeast portion of this property in order to reach their house, as the road, Cambridge Lane, ends at this property. These images, the blue house is the house of the applicant, and then it is also where the road ends. So that northeast corner is required to be some sort of accessible surface for that house, limiting the ability to fully remove impervious surface on that area. Yard encroachments. There are several allowed yard encroachments per the city code. The applicant is proposing a bay window on the 2nd story rear wall. The code allows bay windows as encroachments so long as that they are no greater than 8 square feet, and that the setback of the principal wall conforms to district setback requirements. As noted, this is a non-conforming rear wall, but given that we have determined that the principal wall is 9.84 feet, so long as the bay window meets that 8 square foot requirement, then it would be an allowable encroachment into the yard. Measurements on the survey show that the bay window proposed is approximately 11 square feet, so that would need to be reduced to 8 square feet in order to be allowed. Similarly, mechanical equipment is an allowable yard encroachment. There are AC units and a generator shown on the south side site plan here. Those are allowed so long as they do not extend more than 2 feet into the yard setback, and they also may count towards hardcover. Stairways, similarly, are an allowed encroachment, provided they do not extend to a distance of less than 2 feet from any lot line, and that the entrance structure, so the stoop or uncovered porch, does not exceed 32 square feet. In this case, the stairways are conforming to those requirements. And finally, eaves are also an allowed encroachment into setbacks. You're allowed to encroach 2 feet, and then any portion of an eave exceeding that 2 feet will count towards hardcover, unless there is existing hardcover underneath that eave, so you're not double counting. The minimum flood elevation required for Lake Minnetonka is 933 feet. The proposed elevations for the basement, first floor, and garage all meet this requirement. It should be noted that the plans do show an elevator and elevator pit, and so there may be additional building code or floodproofing requirements that apply to this. And as noted earlier, the access to this property is a little strange due to the configuration of the roadways. And so it is recommended the applicant coordinate with the Public Works Department on construction parking, staging, the delivery and storage of materials in order to ensure that the roadway remains clear and provides access and safety to all road users. This diagram here shows the northern portion of Cambridge Lane, turns and joins Leslie Road, and does not connect south to the southern portion of Cambridge Lane, which is accessed via Manchester Road. So that's why we recommend that they coordinate on construction parking. As is customary, the application was distributed to adjacent property owners, staff, consultants, agencies, and private utilities. Comments received have been incorporated into the report. There was a note on the construction access concern. And now, as Sarah explained earlier, the role of Planning Commission is to discuss the request and then can ask for more information or recommend City Council approval or denial with findings of fact. And I will take any questions.
Okay, questions for Mia?
Is this the house where you go kind of, it's up to the back by the garage? The road's backs up to the garage? Kind of a side road?
I think so.
I think it is, yeah. It's all, it goes to the back.
Why don't
Okay.
you go back to that picture?
Yeah.
That's the best
Yeah,
picture.
that way.
Yeah.
That's how you get back to
Yeah.
the house?
Yeah. The blue house here,
Yeah.
then that northern property that requires access via their
It's a
driveway.
really tight access.
Other comments or questions from Mia?
No, thank you.
So I guess I have a question on the bay window comment that was on there. So you can't have a bay window more than 8 feet when it encroaches on a non-conforming, right?
Into the setback.
In the setback.
Yeah.
But they show eaves, which are actually setting, going further than the bay window. So the eaves can go into the setback, but the bay window
Eaves
can't?
can encroach into a setback 2 feet.
But the bay window's not encroaching more than the eaves.
It's the total square footage. My understanding of the reason is that they don't want to have a bay window in quotes, that is so much that it's adding that much space, livable space to the room, which is why they're narrow. So it's not about the depth, it's the combination of the depth and the width, making sure that we don't end up with basically a bay window that's the entire length of the room
Oh,
and
okay.
adding
Like a
onto the
big
livable
cant.
area.
Yeah.
So it's not really about, it's not a hardcover, it's about, you can't use a bay window in order to add all this extra square footage onto your
Got it.
site that's into the setback area.
Okay. Thank you.
Further comments or questions from Mia? Hearing none, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is the applicant in the audience? Would one of you like to address the commission? Need your name and your address, please.
Yes. My name's Erica Way, 202 Water Street, Suite 202, Excelsior, Minnesota.
Okay.
And I'm with Landshoot. We are the applicant, and we are also here tonight with the property owners, Tim and Joan Kenny.
Erica, can you raise your voice just a little bit?
Yes, yes, yes,
Speak
You
up.
never tell me to do that.
yes. So we are here for questions.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
Do you happen to know, Erica, what the elevation is of the elevator pit? Because the house is like at 934.
The lower level elevation, yeah, so this is actually a sort of a tricky situation where this house actually has no basement. It is a
Right, it's
slab
a
on grade.
yeah.
And it's a slab on grade with a built-up floor system on top of it. So the elevator pit actually is not lower than the slab, it is at the same level. Yeah.
You're the second one I've heard, it's kind of a new thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so the pit is at the same elevation as your slab?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, further comments or questions for Erica?
Thank you, Erica.
Hearing none, thank you, ma'am.
That's it.
Would anybody else in the audience like to address the commission regarding this expansion permit?
Good evening, all. My name is Trent Sims. I live at 2957 Cambridge. It's a property that's north of this spot. I've been in this house since 2010. And as Mr. Heel had mentioned, that this is a very tight access property to get to my property. Now, I've known Tim and Joan for that amount of time as well. They have not been there full-time. They're only there part-time in the summertime. So access has not been a problem. However, when they are there and they have cars in their driveway, it is very difficult for me to get in the driveway. I often tow trailers, have to back trailers up into my driveway. With this road, that part of the Cambridge lane is only about 10 feet wide, so I don't have a ton of radius to get, trailers backing up in there. If I have any extra cars in there, anybody else, basically, every time they try to back out of my driveway when they have cars there, they mention how difficult it is. My main concern is just the garage, and just if they were ever to have a car parked in their driveway at that point, they only have a 20-foot clearance to the road right now. My truck is 21 feet, so if they have anything big like that, and they do have SUVs, if they're not right up to the garage, they're gonna be basically encroaching on the road. I understand it's not gonna happen all the time, and we've worked well together in the past with if we have problems that I don't have any issue with asking them to move a car if I need to do something like that, and they've been great and willing in every aspect that I've ever asked them to. However, in the event that they do have a car, it's gonna be very difficult to get in my driveway with especially with a trailer, which I use at least once a month, if not more. That's honestly my only concern. One thing I wanna ask is if any of you guys have visited the site and seen how close this is and how tight it is. I know that the pictures will show, but pictures don't always do it justice. This is a very tight spot. I generally have to use basically the yard that's towards the woods there in order to get a trailer into my spot as of now. So my biggest thing is just the driveway, just the having cars in the driveway, gaining access to my house. That's gonna be my biggest concern. Leaving 12 feet for me to get any vehicle in. Like I said, I drive a truck. It's a big vehicle, and that's a tight space. So just voicing my concerns today about that, and that's honestly it. I'd like to ask if you guys are okay if I invite my father up here. He does have vested interest in the house as well. He knows about this stuff a little more than I do, and I'd like to get him his 2 cents in, if that's all right.
Can I see a question for? When
Absolutely.
you say leaving 12 feet, what do you mean?
What's that?
When you say leaving 12 feet, what does that mean?
They have, so on the lower map here, they have a note that states 12 feet from that cinder block wall that comes on that curve there. That's what they're giving me for clearance.
And that's a change?
It's in the top corner,
Oh,
Chase,
yeah,
under the
absolutely.
green.
And that's a change from how it is today?
I don't know what it shows now. That's not necessarily a change, but
Oh.
the problem is if they have a car in their driveway here, and especially one here, now I'm gonna be limited. Because of the way that their house is now, they really can't park a car here. They do still, which is totally fine with me, but when a car is there, it's even more difficult to get in. They are giving themselves a few more feet with taking their house out just right here. But often enough, it's gonna have a problem if they have a car here. It's gonna leave me a really tight space, especially if I'm backing up out of my driveway around a blind corner.
So where's your house in this
To the
picture?
right?
So my house is up here.
Up there?
Yep.
Okay, and the road that you're coming in off
So
of
this
is down
is-
here?
this
So you're
is the
coming in
road.
there?
It's a
Okay.
So this is a
curved
road, it's only about
retaining
10 feet
wall.
wide because it's a right-of-way access road.
Yeah.
So this is about 10 feet wide,
Yeah.
and then it comes up here.
And the
And then
retaining
my house
walls
up
to the
here.
right.
I'm sorry?
The retaining walls to the right?
Yep, retaining walls
as
to
you're
the
coming
right.
in to the right. from
Yep,
here.
absolutely. So I have to turn left around the retaining
Yep.
wall to hit it,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
And that road ends basically in line with their property line as well. So it's,
So is the property in the road?
No.
Okay.
No, the part of the driveway for Trent's property, it crosses the Kenny property.
Oh, okay.
And it's
their locator is in the road.
That's what I thought.
I'm sorry, their survey stake is in the road.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I thought, 'cause I
Yeah.
drove by,
It
I
is.
saw
yeah,
that.
I'm sorry, I was not clear on
Yeah.
that. It's
So-
all paved,
So
because it doesn't.
it's sort of counting
Yeah.
part of the road is at 20 feet there,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
which is even allowing me less
yeah,
area.
It's
yeah.
like the driveway and the road are all commingled.
It's one big.
It's like one big bituminous piece.
Ab-
There you go.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
just a big
Yeah.
big slab, absolutely. So yeah, they're.
And the fact
stake-
that the garage is going closer to the road
Yeah.
is a concern, is
That's-
what you're
that's my
saying. That's
concern.
your
Yep.
concern, is that
Now,
the,
if they don't have a car in the driveway, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
right,
It's when, in times that they're gonna have a car, and now that they're gonna be there full-time, I can see that happening more often than not.
and where would be secondary parking to the driveway in that scenario,
For them,
for anybody?
well, it'd be along Manchester Road.
Manchester
Yeah.
Road, okay.
And I'm assuming, do you have an easement for that area right there? That's what you're,
I believe.
yeah,
that
so
there
they can't block it, right?
Prescriptive easement with that road?
I understand it falls under prescriptive easement, yes.
Yeah.
no, I heard a no over there. It does not.
I'm not able to speak to
Oh, okay.
So the 12 feet, is that just kind of like an honorable 12 feet, or is it actually somewhere documented? Because what if they move out someday and
Yeah.
someone moves in and isn't as friendly of that 12 feet? Could that be an issue in the future?
I think those are perhaps questions for the property owner and the neighbor.
Okay.
Those
Yeah,
are separate private matters
Yeah.
that we're,
Well, in that case, how would it be something for the future? If I'm talking to somebody that's gonna buy the house, you know, in the event that they sell their house, and like they're saying, the future tenant comes in and says, well, too bad. You know,
So-
it's not between me and them, it's between, that's why it should be sitting, something that's documented.
It's definitely gonna affect the marketability of the
All right, here's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Are there more questions for this gentleman?
I have no question. For him?
For him?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, and maybe it's also for Sarah, is there any plans to finish out Cambridge Road, or is there a reason you cannot move the driveway north on Cambridge Road?
There's a hill. So,
It's
so all of the
pretty slopey.
utilities run down Cambridge Lane from the upper portion of Cambridge. That used to be one road. They cut that off, and all of the utilities are within that hill, because the upper part of Cambridge Road is about 20 feet higher.
Yeah.
So all of that hill right there is all utilities. So
Okay.
they can't expand it anymore. I mean, that would be, if we could do that, that would be fantastic if
Yeah.
they were to go further in and actually be able to drop the utilities further and push that retaining wall back. That'd be great, it wouldn't be a problem.
yeah. If you're asking, is there any plans to expand that road? Not to my knowledge, but I don't know that anyone's asked the question, but I do agree, there is definitely slope in and around that area. I think those walls are city walls, but
No, they're ours.
they are
We,
yours.
yeah,
Oh, okay, I
Yep.
stand corrected.
Yep.
I thought that.
they were done in 2003, I think.
Okay.
2003?
It seems like a weird, do we have a lot of that in
I thought
Mound?
of the mind. Anyway, that we can certainly correct that. but
So-
That would be a question for Public Works Engineering, but not to my knowledge. You know, that's the first question I have is how come the road wasn't extended?
Right.
But there's probably
Financial.
other related issues that I think Trent was talking about that may play into why it hasn't been.
Yeah, the water main for my house is in that, right after,
And
yeah, right on top of that concrete wall, pretty much about 2 feet into the woods.
Okay, any further questions for this gentleman?
Thank you.
Well, I'm looking at the future detailed projects through 2029, and Cambridge is not on any of them for any kind of mill overlay or reconstruction,
Yeah,
so,
I kind of figured.
Yeah.
They just redid most of those
yeah.
just a handful of years ago, so I can't imagine they would be doing that now.
Further questions or comments?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
Yep.
The gentleman with his hand up is next.
Thank you. My name's Tim Kenny. I'm the property owner, along with my wife Joan. We
Can
actually
you give
bought.
us your address, Tim,
Yes,
please?
yes, sir. 2971 Cambridge Lane is the address in Mound. We also have a home in St. Paul, which we are selling and moving out here full-time. We bought the property in 2003. We lived there about 4 to 5 months out of the year. And now that our children are grown, we have decided to make that our full-time home, which was the plan all along. As Trent mentioned, we've gotten along very well with our neighbors over the years. Trent's actually parked his trailer and his truck in my driveway over the winter a number of times, and we've agreed to that. He's mowed our commons for us. He's got a big lawnmower. We've watched his kids a couple times. So we get along great. I will say on this property, a couple things. I am a lawyer. It is Torrens registered property. There is no recorded easement across the property. There's no ability to develop a prescriptive easement. Having said that, we specifically worked, and we're spending more money to move the location of the garage south 4 feet, which increases the geometry between that retaining wall, which was, I believe, Tom, you built that, right?
I did.
Yeah, so Tom is Trent's dad. He originally owned the property, bought it a little bit before we bought our property, and used it as a rental for a number of years before Trent bought it from his dad. And there was an issue, the retaining wall had collapsed. A tree had, I believe, fallen onto the property, and I think Tom bought it out of, maybe out of bankruptcy.
I'd be happy to give you the history.
Yeah, but he can give you more of that history, but he actually negotiated with the city to build that retaining wall. Originally, I think it was gonna be built much taller and farther north than it is, and it was stepped down to decrease the cost of it in terms of how that was built, which caused that retaining wall to be very close to our property line. We are purposely attempting to move the geometry of the house to increase the amount of room. We, want to be able to enjoy our property, and we may park there, but we've always been able to work things out. When they have parties, sometimes they park on our driveway. We've had people who probably park a little bit on Trent's driveway when we've had people out there. We've always worked through that. But I wanted to make the point that we are purposely moving it 4 feet south, which increases the distance, even though we're coming out 7 or 8 feet towards the street. The reason we're doing that, we have 3 grown daughters. We're hoping they're gonna come visit us with their families. And we do want to have enough bedrooms to accommodate everybody. So we do need that space to be able to put in, 2 bedrooms on the second level to accommodate our family. We also plan to park in the garage most of the time, but unlike now where we actually use the garage as a bunk room and we park the cars in the driveway. But we do anticipate having guests, and we will have to work through, making sure people don't block. We've also hired one of the best architects in the Twin Cities, Landshut, which is phenomenal, and they will be the builder, and we've impressed upon them the importance of when we are doing this project, we have to make sure not only Trent, but our other neighbors have access, and we're not creating any issues during construction. So I think all of these things together, for us to be able to enjoy the house, we need to be able to, build the house we want, to be able to live there full time and have our family be able to visit and friends be able to stay with us. We are very mindful of that tight space, but that's the way we bought the property. That's the way, Tom and Trent bought the property. And there is no easement. So we're doing our best to mitigate that in terms of how we're moving the structure of the house and building it out. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but that's a little more context for you.
Questions from Mr. Kenny?
Is the garage that you're building here, is it a 3-car garage? Is it a 2-car
And
garage?
it's gonna be a very tight 2-car garage.
Okay, so it's not an oversized garage
No.
or?
It's
okay.
gonna be, I think, smaller maybe than our current garage a little bit.
Okay.
It's a very narrow lot. It's a 40-foot wide lot, so
Right.
it's 20 or 22-foot wide by 20 or 22 feet, something like that. It's very, very small garage. Just enough to get our 2 cars into, basically.
Right.
Further questions from Mr. Kenny?
And on the north side, there's 7.5 feet to the lot line. Are you planning on parking cars on the north side? Is that
Not
driveway
most
that
of the
goes
time.
into this? Yeah.
No, most of the time, we do not intend to have that.
Okay.
But the reason we're not, I think Sarah mentioned this, normally there'd have to be a buffer between the property line and the parking lot, but if we did that, Trent couldn't drive across. So we can't reduce the pervious cover because, to allow the contiguous pavement to allow Trent to get into his property.
Yep.
So we could reduce, I mean, we'd be happy to remove that if that helped with the pervious. We've removed a lot of, there was even more pervious cover when we bought this property. There was a concrete pad, there was a lot of stone mulch, there was a dog kennel. We've removed as much as we could as we went along. And the current sidewalk, we took it from being completely pervious to impervious to a pervious sidewalk. So we too, like the prior applicant, we're putting in gutters, which we don't have because of the roof structure. We're gonna try to catch as much water coming off the roof as we can into the garden. We have a number of plantings we plan to add as well, but that's just, the other issue is the patio is currently a deck, which is pervious, but because it's within 2 feet of the property line, we were advised we couldn't have a deck. So we have to make it a patio to have that be a usable entrance. That's the front entrances through the patio. And we'd love to have it be a deck, then it would be removing that hardcover, but we've been told we can't have a deck there, so.
So there's a lot of patio right on that north side there?
Yes, that is currently a deck with 4-inch gaps, or half-inch gaps.
Well, I see the patio, right? I'm sorry, I'm looking on the side of the garage.
Yellow.
Right there?
Yeah, right there.
Right, so that, we're putting in so that Trent can drive across into the property. We could remove, a chunk of that if we didn't have to do that.
Well, I wonder if Trent has concerns that cars might park in that area.
Well, that's within our property, though. Like, we
Right.
should be able to park right there, as long as we're not blocking his access. We can park a car right here and not block his access. I think his concern, and I'll let him speak to it, is if we park here, 16 to 20-foot vehicle, we're right to the
Yeah.
line. And I get that, but I also get cars are the size they are, and, it's our property, and we should be able to park there as long as we're not blocking him.
And the little triangle up at the top is the access that Trent needs to get to his
Well,
property?
We've drawn that for illustrative purposes. I mean, when we're not parked there, he's gonna have a lot more. He's gonna have tons of space to get in and out. If we're parked there, obviously, we're gonna have to either move the car if we're blocking him. But again, we're planning to park in the garage. Now that we're living there full-time, and the garage will be a garage. It's only if we have guests. But again, when we each have parties or things, we adjust to each other. I mean, his folks, some of his guests have parked literally in our space right behind us on the street, and I've had to go over and ask to move it, but that's kind of how neighbors have to get along and work through things, and we've always done it very well up to this point.
Okay, further questions or comments from Mr. Kenny? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, sir, would you like to address the commission?
Sure. Good evening, my name is Tom Sims, I live at 70 Birch Bluff Road in Tonka Bay. I was the one that bought this house originally in 2003, not original, but because I think it was built in 1965. How do you work this? Red button?
Yellow,
Yellow button.
because I turned it off several times, so I remember.
So
Yellow.
back in the day, somebody else owned this property, and this was a cinder block wall that regardless of who let the trees grow on it, the trees grew on it, and it caved in this wall and tipped over on this guy's house, and he packed up in the middle of the night, moved out. The city was after him to rebuild the house, rebuild the wall, he decided to pack up and move out, so it went into bankruptcy, and I bought it from the bank, and then I worked with the city to get this wall built right here. So Cambridge Lane, in theory, stops right here, but if you go to the north side of Trent's property, this right here is a hill that's about 20 feet high, and Cambridge Lane is up here. And then it comes to a curve right at the curve there and stops. And then this is a right-of-way where the city has its utilities that comes downhill. It's downhill. So I was working with the city at the time to figure out what kind of wall we had to build here, and this was pretty much the only thing we could do. It stops right at this wall. I think Trent's, I don't know if this easement, if this is an easement or it's city property. Don't know.
That's all right away to the best of my knowledge. It's just, it's undeveloped.
So it's not Trent's with a
Nope.
right of way over the
Nope.
top?
Nope.
Okay. So his, I think the back of his lot line is the same as the back of Tim's lot
Yeah.
line. So we had to go out with this wall in order to put 8 feet of, can't remember what they call the kind of screen underground, to retain this wall so that it wouldn't interfere with the utilities that are in the underground right here. So that really restricts the access into Trent's property. So right now, the existing garage corner is right here. And when you come around this corner, you pretty much have all of this to get your truck and trailers and whatever else, keeping in mind that these guys are lakeshore, so they do pull trailers, boat trailers, whatever they want, a trailer to haul his big lawnmower in. And so we got about 50, him has about 60 feet of driveway right here. To turn something around in here is like next to impossible, and you need all of this space just to get access to this house. My concern is, I still have an interest in this house too, so I have a concern about future marketability. If you ever put this house on the market, somebody's gonna come in here and go, really? I mean, with this limited access, if you will, it cuts across this corner, or that's the corner of the garage, that's the corner of the proposed garage. So if you drew a line, here's the edge of Trent's parking area, and you drew a line across where he comes in right now.
That's not, I don't think, where the proposed garage is gonna be, up on top there.
That was not accurate.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
let's go down
Yeah,
here.
that one right there.
This red line is the red dot is the existing garage.
Yeah.
This is the proposed garage. So where he comes in right now, he's got this much room for access, which kind of cuts a corner right here. Now, Tim had said that there are no recorded easements, and there aren't. But it does qualify as a prescriptive easement, meaning it's been used for what it's being used for 50, 60, 70 years unopposed, and notoriously as the word in the legal description. So according to my attorney, I had a discussion with him yesterday, and he said absolutely it's a prescriptive easement. What does that do for it? I don't know. Personally, I would have rather sat down and reviewed these plans with Tim and Joan and their developer before coming in here and voicing my concerns, but that didn't happen.
I invited you 4 times over the last 2 months to do that.
Not me.
Your son, who owns the house.
You did, no, he did.
Okay.
But that was when
I've asked to sit down and review these, and it hasn't happened, so I don't know what to ask you for right now, other than maybe more time to go sit down and meet with Tim and Joan and their developer and see what we can do about this, if anything. Trent doesn't have a problem with this house. I mean, it's a monstrous house for a little tiny lot, but that's Lake Minnetonka, that's the way it works. There's another one up here on the north side that looks over, so he's got this rambler in between that's gonna have these 2 behemoths looking over the top, but I certainly don't wanna get in the way of them building their house on their property, but I am concerned about this access issue.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We have questions for this gentleman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to approach the commission regarding this request? Seeing none. Discussion of the expansion permit request amongst the commission.
I have a question as to, it seems that there is a big road issue, an access issue, and I don't know from a city perspective how that happened, you know? Something happened there.
That's not something that will have the history.
Right,
on.
right. But is it a city issue? Is it a city issue that we don't have access to these two homes?
There is access.
Was-
It's just that part of the neighbor's property crosses this property
But,
based on the configuration, and historically has done that, as I understand, at least that's how it looks.
Does that happen a lot within the city?
On the island, there's,
There is a few.
Where there's,
Yeah.
okay.
We have roads that are platted, that aren't built, we have driveways that are built in, right-of-ways that are giving access. But it's, I wouldn't say it happens all the time, but it certainly is something that has happened.
but is, with only 7.25 feet of frontage on a street, is that, could they come back and say, I want a 10-foot frontage on the street? Because it's a street, it's Cambridge Lane.
Is that what you're calling this
Yeah,
area?
it says there's
Right there?
7.25 foot
He's saying that
of,
if they insist that Cambridge Lane need to be extended so they have more frontage, is that something that the city wants?
I think those are,
Right? I
think that's what you mean,
that's what
yeah.
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 I mean,
And I certainly think.
giving a landowner 7.25 feet of frontage doesn't seem
To the street.
realistic either.
Yeah.
I think that would have to be something that would need to be pursued with Public Works and Engineering. You know, could that be extended? That's outside of our
Right.
realm for tonight.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
certainly if there's opportunities, the venue for that, I would think, would either be an improvement project or a public lands permit, because we have had people extend driveways and right-of-ways. We have done that before, but that's not part of tonight.
Right,
Right.
because they're within the 20-foot setback, it's just that part of that 20-foot setback is, actually,
Right.
Is driveway
They're within their setbacks.
correct.
On that side.
on that
Where
side.
they're not in their setbacks is on the north and the rear, which are not related really.
That
to
doesn't
this
relate to
access
the easement
discussion.
issue.
Correct.
That shaded area, that is their property, correct?
Yeah, I think they
In
were
the green.
just trying to illustrate in the diagram, kind of the fact that they are recognizing that there is a driveway.
Okay, that's
Need
what-
that
that is their
cross.
property.
That is their property.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Kenny says.
That's
that
where
is
they're illustrating like
illustrated.
12-foot
Yeah,
wide
it was
path to
good
get
that was
there.
on there, because it helps all of us
Yes,
understand
exactly.
that something's happening.
So I want to be clear, that's their property, so they have a right to
Correct.
do with it. It's just that difference there that,
It was just mostly to make sure that we recognize the fact that there was an
Yeah, I have a hard
access
time.
that needed to come across there.
But everything above, north of that pervious paver is like paved right now on their side, so it's almost like a driveway. Yeah.
It's like a driveway parking area for both
It's like a big,
properties
huge
and a
hidden
road.
And what was the number on impervious
It is.
surface right now?
really narrow.
48%, I think.
It's coming down.
I'm gonna tell somebody how to.
It's coming down, but it's still over the,
Still about 8% over.
He bought the property with it was a narrow road.
but I don't think reducing that's gonna benefit.
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that.
Yes, that's right, it's really.
I mean, the fact they could take out all that north pervious, because it's not a benefit to them, but that takes away the ability for them, then Sims to drive down here
Yeah, yeah.
if there's no cars parked there.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Further comments?
What do you think?
I think this is a really weird one. I'm just going to acknowledge that. And the only reason why and where I struggle with this one is from strictly a land use perspective, they're meeting all the requirements. It's private property. My concern again is, and again, I can appreciate you guys putting the new garage further south to try and be accommodating to that. But again, my concern is if we approve this, in the future, could it become a bigger issue and could we create a new hardship for the resident who lives at the north? But I think from a land use perspective, it's meeting everything for the approval. And I don't know if that potential for future hardship falls more on the city council decision. That's what I'm kind of struggling with this one, because I think
I don't want to tell people how to use their property, that's the issue I'm having. That's their property.
I mean, the garage is coming out
Yeah.
further. I could see it again creating a future issue depending on if the residents swap, and that's not a land use decision. So
But I guess my argument to that is, even if they had the garage 7 feet forward, they have every right to park their car all the way back to the street.
That's
I
exactly
know,
right.
exactly right. And,
Exactly,
but I
it's their
think
property.
But that's why I was
again,
asking.
it can create a hardship for the area up north. But again, I don't know how we address that from the planning commission
I
perspective.
think we just address what the variance is. That's it. That's all we're here for. Not to worry about whether it's 17 feet, 10 feet. I mean, as long as it's their property and it's inclined to the variance, I think that would be my concern. I'm not gonna sit there and say, well, it's 12 feet, it's 20 feet, it's, at least that's where I stand. All right.
I mean, the driveway currently is a hardship, you know, even without adding the additional to your driveway. So,
Because he has to go into.
Whose
the
driveway is a
driveway,
hardship?
Yeah.
pardon me?
Whose driveway is a hardship?
Oh, for Trent.
Trent?
North,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Currently it is because he has to use their
So
property.
it's gonna be added problem with the garage, but it's already a hardship now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
agreed. And so is there an option then for Trent to take that to the city and request more roadway?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that's the only.
I mean, I think that would be my advice.
I was told by the city, absolutely not, 25 years ago.
Well, that was 25 years ago.
And
It's a different city now.
But underground, you know, what's going on with the sewer and everything like that, that has a lot to do with it. But certainly
him. I see
Ryan
him.
could maybe be at the meeting he might already be going to be at the meeting on Tuesday, and that would be something you could,
Who's Ryan?
Public Works.
Oh,
The
oh,
head.
got it.
Yeah, the head.
All right, Mr. Kenny, you had one more comment.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate weighing these concerns. I would say, though, you know, what we've heard is a concern about driving a trailer into the property. Not driving onto the property, we're doing everything possible to accommodate that, versus our ability to build a house that we're gonna live in for the next 25 years and accommodate our family. So I appreciate, we do wanna make, I'm confident Trent and I can work, and Joan can work out if there's anything blocking Trent's access, right? But I think when you trade off us being able to build the home, and, you know, we've been in the house for 23 years now, versus a trailer having access and being able to turn around easily, I think it weighs a little bit in our favor. So I'm happy to address that at the city council, but when I think about balancing those, which we do in the law all the time, balancing the interests, we're trying to ensure his interest of access. We've purposefully planned it to increase, you know, the geometry. I recognize it's coming out a little, but it's coming down, which I don't know what the actual distance is. It may be actually the same when you actually do the calculation, but there should be more than enough room to get into the property. So I just encourage you to consider
Yep.
the balance of interests is a trailer versus being able to be able to build a house that we
Just
can
looking
live
at
in
this
year-round with our family, so.
And I'll just
Appreciate
say
you
that,
accommodating.
no, I mean, just the fact that you illustrated that in these diagrams kind of tells me that, I mean, you do care about having a healthy relationship with your neighbor, you know what I mean? It's just, I think it's just such a weird situation.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But,
And it has
I
to
think
do-
you've done what you can to be accommodating.
Yeah, it's not any of our fault, the way it was
Right.
platted, for sure, and how that lane was developed, so.
So I guess I'm less concerned. I think you guys are trying to work it out, but if you ever sell, if they ever sell,
Right.
what's where's it put the city with only 7.25 feet of frontage on a road? Like if a new owner, if you sell, something happens, and they say you can't drive on our property, where does that leave the north property? Do they come
Appreciate
back to
that.
the city and say, I have to have frontage? I don't know if that's an option.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but, you
Yeah, I
know,
would assume.
we've invested in this
Yeah.
property for 25 years, and being robbed of the ability to enjoy that is a pretty significant thing, I think, versus what may happen in 25 or 30 years when
Yeah.
we die, you know?
Yeah, I just think it's something
Yeah.
the city's gonna have to, the attorney and public works are gonna have to address.
Yeah, but again, conformity, you know, improving conformity everywhere except in those couple spots. And we'd improve the conformity on, if we could leave a deck, we wouldn't have the issue with the pervious cover on, you know, so that's because of the code, not because of us. So we've improved the conformity across the board, every which way except for that, you know, the lake shore where the wall is, but it's currently there, so. And we are absolutely on board with all the conditions that were identified, you know, in terms of looking at the bay window. I think we were not fully appreciative of that issue, and they've already started redrawing that part of it, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
All right, further discussion amongst the commission.
Yeah, the way I see it, this is private property. There isn't an easement. And so you're looking at the occasional situation where he's driving a trailer, and the concern is the variance from the mean of how often is a trailer going to be, is that going to be an issue by your parking in the driveway? So I don't see how we can deny this if it's, and instead weigh the concerns of the occasional trailer.
I'd like to say that this isn't only for trailer, just even driving my truck in there is difficult. The people backing up out of the driveway is difficult. This isn't just a trailer situation.
Right.
I'll give you one more shot. Go ahead.
You know, we threw out the example of driving in there with a vehicle and a trailer as an example. That's all it was. And I think we're getting too hung up on the idea that this is a trailer versus a house. It isn't. It's accessibility and it's marketability, and there's all kinds of different things that are going to be affected here. Somebody said, how did this happen years ago? Well, you know, if we have issues that are going to affect Trent's house, the last thing I want to do is get in the way of Tim building a house. You know, him and I got along great for 7 years too when I still owned it. I don't want that. I would like some time so we could sit down with them and review the plan and see if there's something different we can do with that 7, 8, 9 extra feet of garage that's coming out that is going to hinder Trent's accessibility and marketability. So I think in most city situations, you don't approve a project for the benefit of one neighbor that is to the detriment of another neighbor. That's normally the routine. I don't want to get hung up on a trailer. But there are issues here with future, let's say, marketability, if you want to call it that. Now, we talked about utilities with the cities. Again, it's 22, 23 years later. Yeah, maybe the city would look at it different, but that's going to take some time. That comes down as a slant like this from the upper hill to the lower hill. Hey, if they could hit that edge and drop it straight down and come out that direction, and you know, that would open up the backside of Trent's property, and you have no accessibility issues anymore. But that's going to cost city thousands. I mean,
Yeah,
hundreds
and
of thousands.
it really
of
would be a
dollars.
Bolton and Mank
What's that?
discussion, Bolton and Mank, our city engineer. It would
It's
really
going to cost a lot
be,
of money for the city, and
Yeah.
you know.
and as they said, it's not on the future
Right.
through 2029.
So is it an issue that you need to make a decision on this second? Like I said, I'd love to sit down with Tim and Joan and their developer and see if there's a different way. It's something we can come up with. I can't even tell you what it is right now because last night is the first time I've seen these plans. So I just would need some time, I think, with all of us together, put our heads together and figure out if there's a
Okay,
way to
you
work
made your
around
point.
this
Thank you
extended
very much.
garage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, further discussion amongst the commission? Hearing none, we have on page 21 and 22 of your agenda, a recommendation from staff to approve this expansion permit with 6 conditions and 5 findings. You've seen a slide previously that indicates we can take one of 3 actions, table the request. If we did that, we'd need specific reasons why. Approve the expansion permit or recommend denying it. Chair would entertain a motion.
I mean, I'm comfortable moving it forward, but I think it would be interesting to have Bolton and Mank weigh in on. You know, is that something you can just make a phone call to get information on, or is that something we would need to discuss in the council meeting?
I think we could do some preliminary work in between, you know, if a motion moves forward this evening, before it gets to the council. My understanding is that if my memory's good, you guys are not, if we get a recommendation tonight, you want to go to the meeting in December. Isn't that correct? So, right, if my memory's good. And so that we would have a little bit of time, you know, if the planning commission offers a recommendation between now and it gets to the council.
Would we
in
have
a
a
couple of
planning
weeks.
meeting before
I'm
then?
sorry?
Would we have a planning meeting before that, before the 9th?
We have planning commission meeting on the second.
Yeah.
But again, I think the
I don't think this
questions
would have to come
are
back to
perhaps
the
more
planning.
for the council rather
Yeah.
than the planning commission.
I would agree with that, Sarah. I think from a planning standpoint, I can't see us not approving this, but I also would like to see how we can somehow acknowledge that, you know, there are some issues with this area that maybe it is more appropriate for the council to review in the city, but I can't see us not approving this one and moving it forward, but acknowledging too that it's just a quirky little area.
One of many.
Right, right, and it's not new. I mean, it's been that way for a long time, but.
And it was purchased that way, right? It
Right.
was in place.
Doesn't mean that it's not time to maybe have the city just look at it and review it, but I don't know if we can put that in our recommendation that while we approve it, we just acknowledge that this is there's additional matters that should be reviewed, not by us.
No, any conditions should be related to what the applicant needs to do. You
Right.
can make the motion and then recommend separately that the city, you know, look at information, but the council will be naturally reading your minutes and seeing the
Right.
information and won't necessarily need
And have a public hearing for folks to come in too, so it would be caught.
Well, it's not,
a public hearing.
they're
Oh,
not
it's
public
not.
hearings,
Okay.
but we do notification.
Okay.
Right, and the information and the discussion today will move forward, and Councilmember McEnany is very apprised of that since she's here, so she can also, you know, that's one of the reasons we have a great representative here, is that they can communicate on
Yeah.
to the council the concerns and your sentiments.
Okay, further discussion.
I guess I kind of agree with Ms. Wacker that from a setback perspective, everything, we would approve it. I just don't understand where this puts the Sims homeowner from a perspective with the city. And I'd like to know what that is from their perspective on Bolton Mank, right? Or a legal perspective on why we have a lot that they can't have access without going through another driveway.
Well, they have access.
Well,
It's just
they have access by going on someone else's property, there's
Yeah.
no easement.
a no easement.
Yes. So if they come back and say, you know, if they want to put a fence in there, what does that do to the city?
Right, then you can't get a car.
Right?
You get a bike through
Do
there.
I go back to the city and say, you guys got to make, you know, access to us on Cambridge Road?
Yeah.
I don't know. We've never had anything like this before.
Yeah, I mean, this is for sure something Matt or somebody at Bolton and Mank can either say, we can accommodate this, or the reasons why it can't be. And usually it's underground infrastructure.
They also can look at maneuverability
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of vehicle size and what the roadside is and what the turning radius is and that sort of thing to really look at.
Yeah,
But I mean,
as
makes
well.
sense.
I think the homeowner's trying to accommodate as
Yeah,
much as
very
possible by
much.
putting all that expensive permeable pavers in on the north side to
Yeah.
allow that when they're not parking there.
And the time also, hopefully, the neighbors can maybe get together between now and before, if we receive a recommendation, before it would return to the council.
So
As-
for
as-
sure
we
would be
can
next
encourage that.
Tuesday, it would be
Yeah, at the request of
first
the property
December.
owners to schedule, they have asked that it's, if we get something through tonight's meeting, that they would go to the meeting on the 9th of December.
That gives you a little bit of time to noodle it around some more. I'm sure you've done this
Okay.
for a very long time. Consider all the possibilities. And you have been really thoughtful in keeping your neighbors' best interest at heart, so thank you for that.
Okay, Chair would like to, once again,
Sorry. Ask for a
refresh the
motion.
commission's perspective that on page 21 and 22 of your agenda, you see that staff is recommending approval of this expansion permit with 6 conditions and 5 findings. And again, we have 3 choices. I've cited them earlier. Chair would entertain a motion.
Usually you do these motions.
I don't know what to do with I honestly don't know. If you want to make a motion, you can.
Nobody wants to make a motion. We're kind of in a quandary here.
Well,
You can make a motion.
I'll make a motion to
mean,
approve it.
yeah.
What do I need to say?
You're making a motion to approve the expansion permit with 6 conditions and 5 findings,
Like you said.
as specified by staff. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second. Do we have further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
I'm going to say nay, because I was just going to ask for something, but that's fine.
Do you want to,
I'll just put it in my comment.
okay.
I was going to ask that between now and like the next 2 weeks, we get the City Public Works and Bolton Menk to understand what the implications are for the Cambridge Lane, where the utilities are, and what the homeowner's rights are to access to that lane
Yeah.
if the southern homeowner
Well, I think
changes.
that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
In this situation, is this something you talked to Jesse about, or do you want me to have a conversation, or how do we
Oh.
move forward with this?
Yeah, we'll have a visit with
Okay.
city manager and public works director, and, I would anticipate that, all that information would be crafted into the
Yeah.
executive summary
Part of
with
city.
detail when it comes to the council
Okay.
in several weeks.
Great, thank you.
That would
Okay.
be great.
Rewinding back to the
Yeah,
motion,
so,
go ahead.
so I guess I put nay out there, and that's my reasoning,
Okay.
I guess. And then I guess, in addition to that, then I guess could you keep the Sims homeowners involved in the discussion with them?
That would be to Sarah, I think.
With the discussion with Bolton Menk and the City Public Works?
Is
So
to
that, so that they don't get the information, the day before the city council meeting. They should be involved, understanding what the implications are for Cambridge Lane. Do you understand?
You mean
Make sure that
keeping
the
them in the loop
homeowner
once-
is in
Yeah, it's just
the
a matter of,
loop.
yeah, too, when you say it that way, like, they're not gonna be at the meetings where we have these conversations, right? Like, they would not be at the meeting with the city attorney and the city engineer.
No, I understand that.
But you're asking us, instead of just having in the city council packet, that when we have a conclusive information, we would send it to both property
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
That we can do.
yes.
yeah.
Perfect.
Just want
Yeah.
to clarify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
good.
There's kind
Yeah, I
of
think it's the
limits to
awareness
where-
piece
Correct.
for the north
Yeah.
property owner.
Okay,
Yeah.
let the record show that the motion carried. And staff has, I think, adequately heard the additional comments about concerns, correct?
We got 5-2.
Okay,
5-1, 6-1.
thank you.
We don't need a motion for them to
No,
do that.
no,
No,
it's
no,
just
no,
the
no,
comments that get taken
just
to the city
comments.
council.
They-
Gotcha,
They've heard what we think they need to do.
gotcha.
Okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Good conversation.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bought a funky house and we just got funky.
All right.
It's always gonna be funky.
Review discussion of the 2025 work plan project. Review discussion of city code section 129-314 exterior
Bye,
storage.
thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Members may recall, on the preparation of the work plan earlier this year, one of the items tasked to the planning commission is to take a look at our exterior storage regulations. And we put this on tonight because I think what we'd like is to gain some insight from members of the planning commission about specific areas that you want us to look at. One of the things that we keep hearing is we allow too many units. So I think that would be something that would be helpful for us. We do not allow parking on undeveloped lots unless they're combined with principal parcels. A couple of years ago, I think the planning commission, if my memory's good, offered a certain number. And then I think the council may have pulled back a little bit on that number. And again, that's all from memory, but I think giving us some direction in terms of, is that front and center what we want to be looking at? Is too many units an issue for members of the council, members of the planning commission and the council? The other, I think, area that comes up a lot is some people feel that front yard parking, if we didn't have front yard parking, overall appearance is a little lighter, recognizing, of course, that we have a lot of small lots, we have a lot of teeny lots. This is a good indicative of one, you know, where really the only parking that might be available is front yard parking. I think that's something that we would like some direction on as well. Where stuff can be parked is also good, but I think, you know, giving us some direction on where members of the planning commission feel our rules might need some evaluation and/or some tightening and/or a look would be helpful for us so that we can do some due diligence with regards to study and reports and see what might work for us. We did ask our code officer to join us tonight. He is being an assistant fire chief today, and so he's assisting
playing
with
bingo.
activities.
Yeah.
Helping, I think he's calling, he might be calling bingo tonight. So he was not able to join us, but we certainly can invite him back. Again, this isn't anything that's gonna be worked out in one night, but I think, I think we're just interested to hear as a staff kind of where members of the planning commission feel the holes are. For me, I think it's the number. I think lesser would be better. You know, is 6 too many, specifically on, you know, when you've got medium-sized lots? Some people think that's okay. But anyway, so I'm curious to see what members think we should be looking at specifically.
I have some opinions. I live on a very interesting street, Noble Lane.
Seems to be common tonight.
One of my concerns is that there are homes that exceed the 6 on my street, basically. So even if we have it, like, let's say we say it's 3 or 4, we give a number. Well, what if people aren't doing it?
Well,
and
that
following.
falls under the category of, we barely enforce the ordinances we have now.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
The overall
we have
toolbox.
conversations about this all the time in our meetings,
Yeah.
because it's so frustrating to go through all these efforts.
Yeah.
And trying to make attempts to make some changes, and nothing is enforced. So what point is it? I mean, I appreciate that. I feel I'm a little more forgiving on this front, just because of our demographics are so bizarre in Mound, and our lot sizes are so varied in Mound that, I mean, if you have a family, I mean, I have 1 million cars in my driveway, a work vehicle, my kids, so at what point do you
Oh, I'm
not
not
have
even-
enough
yeah,
room
right.
in your property to accommodate a family of, 4 vehicles? So I am a little more forgiving on this, and most people disagree with me being this forgiving. But I recognize a lot of our issues over on the island, and even when you get into 3 Points in some areas, even over by your area, by Harrison's, there are just some really tight lots that I want people to be able to live their life without massive restriction.
Sure.
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 We have to balance that against the aesthetics of having 6 cars in some guy's lot, or lady's lot, with, a cover over the car, who's got leaves all over it, stuck on the side of the garage. Like
And
we have at
that
3
is a
Points.
blight issue,
Like we
for
have,
sure.
like we have in 3 Points.
Like we have
Yeah.
across
Well,
the street
and-
from me.
Yeah.
Well, and it does say they have to be operational, but I know for a fact
Right.
that there are some non-operational vehicles.
Right, the environmental piece.
Yeah, and so it's like, if we're not gonna enforce the ordinance, or, provide a ticket, or give them options, right? Okay, here's how you do it in a way that aesthetically is a little better, right,
Yeah.
for other people's property values. But, then why put the time into changing an ordinance,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we have had conversations, even just the last 2 meetings, our compliance officer, Andy,
Yeah.
he's stretched really thin. I mean, his main job is a fire.
Sure.
And we are looking at trying to add to our budget to bring on even a part-time compliance officer that can devote his complete time to this. And that's part of our issue in trying to get these looked at, is there's just nobody available that can be doing this full-time.
So a question regarding that. I happened to have Andy in my yard the other day.
Yeah.
And I said to him, hey, what's going on the corner? And he says, well, I'm working on it with him. Well, I've lived there. I've lived there for almost 14
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that is the exact same answer. And things aren't changing. In fact, they're maybe getting worse as far as that.
And I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Part of our goal for Jesse and, with his staff is
Yeah.
to follow up with people, which has been pretty rough on some of these ongoing issues that have happened. It makes us all look like we're not being attentive to resident needs. And part of that is within following the ordinances. We really can't do that when you're not following up with the resident in the complaint, because we're a complaint-based city. So the residents make a complaint sometimes 3, 4, 5 times in a 2-year period with very little feedback. That's our challenge to Jesse, is find a procedural way to, within, the dynamics in City Hall, how can we best accommodate, obviously Jesse can't call every single person back that calls, but, Sarah may be at front, you can have every Friday, here are 2-year issues, we know the names, we all do, because we get the same calls all the time. And then what can Sarah field, but as long as people are getting feedback, it's so frustrating when they aren't getting any.
Well, and I've gotten that feedback multiple times, right?
But nothing's happened.
But nothing's happened,
Correct.
right? And so then at a point, do you have an ordinance with a penalty associated with the ordinance?
Well,
What's up?
penalties, we can't assess a monetary penalty because
So you
for a
haven't,
statutory B. I mean, we've talked about
I don't
trying to
know,
make things
Yeah.
painful as
We
possible.
can't
what does that mean?
assess
No, we
fines.
can't.
Well, I mean,
No.
at this
We had that
point,
discussion long
we
ago.
cannot assess fines.
Time ago.
So why
do you do?
have it?
This Orono can.
I don't know.
The police
But
department
that's
can.
why this keeps getting raised,
So,
Correct,
year after year.
yes.
well, okay, we're just kicking the can, I mean, if you can't assess fines, we don't have enforcement
Why have
officers.
rules?
We
So
don't
what are
have,
we gonna do?
we don't have enough pain associated with a third phone call back saying, you know, we've asked you to make these changes.
I
And
mean,
look, this
so
is a
what?
frustration with all of us.
Yeah, so what? Okay, you called me
Yeah.
3 times. I know you can't do anything to me. All right.
Exactly.
I'll just keep doing what I'm gonna
Exactly.
do. I mean,
There's no incentive
Exactly.
to doing
Correct.
anything, or to fixing the behavior, and it's clear, because
Yeah.
I've lived there for 14 years, right?
Exactly. So what's the plan?
Well, I mean, the plan is
City council?
we've had several conversations about this, and when we sit down to come up with our master priorities for 2026, this is top of my list. We had a long conversation with Jesse in last week's meeting about this. He knows what we're trying to accomplish, and that's simply, we want results. You know, when there are complaints, valid complaints.
Yeah, but, okay.
I mean, Drew, I understand. It's very frustrating.
What I might suggest we do is do what we can do, and that is look at
The current,
the current zoning criteria,
yeah,
and if you see something that you think ought to be changed,
yeah,
make a note of it.
yeah.
And next commission meeting,
Oh, that's a good
we
way.
can,
Yeah.
we can address
Talk
those.
about
Let's
the
do that,
detail, if
okay?
we all, that's a
Because
homework
that's what-
assignment
that's
for
what we-
us.
That's
Yeah.
what we can do,
Yes.
all right?
Yeah,
For sure,
It's a
and
good
then
approach.
send the recommendations on to council
It's a
and,
great approach.
you know, have further conversation about it.
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
and I think what I'm hearing you say, Kathy, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we just need to keep calling.
And that just makes my head want to explode.
It makes me want to explode, because I think everyone's gotten like complacent now. They're like, no one's gonna do anything, so why would I waste my time calling?
Look, we deal with this
Exactly.
on a daily basis
Yeah.
with residents calling and trying to get results. So again, this is top on our priority
We
to
are
make some
trying
changes going
to make better
forward.
improvements.
Can we impound vehicles?
City of
Not on private
Orono
property.
can.
See, Orono can.
Well,
Not
yeah,
on private
please.
property.
Please can. And then why aren't we calling and having
But
stuff?
they don't even do that down at Surfside when there's glaring infractions
so let
happening.
me-
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just an
So
ongoing
can the city of
frustration.
Orono impound vehicles on Mound personal properties?
Well, I don't know, that's a good question.
No.
I'd have to
I
get.
didn't think
say
so.
no.
because
I
it's
don't think so,
private
it's
that's-
private
that's
property.
enforcement,
And that would
so-
have to, that would fall under,
Right.
if we, you know, lower the number of vehicles that can be parked in a front yard, then that neighbor can call Orono and say, look at the ordinance, you can only have 4 vehicles on the front yard and they have 10. At that point, I don't even know if Orono would come straight out and,
So you just call
There
the
has to be
police?
due process with it, there's no
There-
doubt about that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there'd be conversation between the city and,
I mean, you've got the code, and then you have enforcement,
Yeah.
and then you have,
Yeah.
you know, so it's, and what the tools.
and then
need to
all the
deliver.
legalese
And there's
that
not-
happens in between
yeah,
all that,
and
which
there's
is a
not
real problem.
one-size-fits-all
Okay,
Right.
unfortunately, we are discussing issues that
from the
are
code.
beyond our control.
Yes.
And we all acknowledge that there are many frustrations.
Can I ask a question about the actual
Yes, sir.
code? So, before we take our homework assignment on here, I do have a question, because some, part of it's even unclear to me. There's impervious and non-impervious, which non-impervious is pervious, right? Is there any difference, because I can't tell a difference through how we've written the code, parking on grass versus parking on a non-paved driveway?
Yeah,
It's class
that's-
5.
Yeah.
I think everything in here, there's no distinguish between
There's no-
parking on grass or parking on gravel.
Parking on
Yeah.
hardcover on improved surface has been one of the issues is, you know, first of all, does it make it look more organized? You know, it identifies where the parking area is, but it adds hardcover.
yeah.
Parking on a driveway, whether it's gravel or pavement, is still considered hard.
Wait, say that again? Park on gravel?
You know, if you're parking, if you're, whether your driveway is pavement or gravel, we consider that to be hard because it gets banged down too much that there's no runoff.
So whenever it's listed in here as non-impervious, we're talking about grass.
Probably, or soft,
Or bare,
or
bare
soft
ground.
surface.
Or can it be pavers with the
Yeah,
impervious
no, pavers
pavers?
would be hard.
Oh, that would be even,
But a lot of people park on grass.
But you were just saying pavers weren't hard in that scenario we
Well,
just had.
they have non-impervious pavers that lets.
Yeah, they have,
through.
there's like
Pervious
Ecostone and
pavers.
Unistone that you
They're
can.
special
Oh,
pavers.
theirs were.
right.
They're
But
super
that's
expensive
what I'm
pavers
asking.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
they're the
yeah.
non-pervious
Gotcha.
pavers, that would still
A
be.
standard brick is impervious.
yeah.
Ecostone, Unistone, or another type of pervious is pervious. Because
Gotcha.
it goes like
Yeah.
a sponge.
So that part, I guess, is unclear in here when you're talking about pervious,
We need
impervious,
definition.
non-impervious,
Yeah.
what we're talking about. If
And
it's
I-
grass or if I have class 5
Well, I think
driveway,
that's I don't think you have to park on a hard surface if you can park on grass.
but is there a difference between some of this stuff that says, when they're on parking on non-impervious, does that mean grass or does that mean class 5 that's been driven on?
It's not as
It's not clear.
because it's not the way that we.
Okay, so that's a clarification needs
yes.
to be
Yeah,
made.
it's clear as mud.
Clarification. Yeah, yeah.
Clarification would be helpful.
And
Okay.
honestly, sometimes just having a designated area, and I don't even.
Organized parking.
Like organized parking, right? Where it's closer to your house than it is to the road or something, or to your neighbors, that you're actually making it part of your inconvenience.
Like a parking pad.
More than
Yes.
other
Like a
people's
parking pad
inconvenience,
versus
by
just
having
parking
it.
something on the grass.
Yeah.
Or, right. That-
Yeah,
that to me is
along
more-
the roadway,
Yeah.
you park it along the roadway, you have space between your house and where you're parking, but everybody else, that's all they see, is your parking vehicle. So,
Okay, we all have our homework assignment.
Thank
We've
you.
raised a couple of good issues. Please mark them down.
Thank you, Professor.
I am, he's keeping us on task.
On task.
Please mark them down.
Yes,
So that
for
we can
sure.
address them at the next commission meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
Homework and 48.10.
any further comments regarding the work plan project? Moving on, City Council Liaison and Staff Project Update Report, City Council Policy for Commission Appointments and Reappointments.
I'll just provide just a brief update. Ms. McEnany can sure chime in, of course. The city council adopted a new policy, I think, at their 25th of October meeting, I think, if that's the right date. 28th? Yep, yep. Is it on there? Oh, there it is, yeah. And so the new policy moving forward is that the city council will be doing the candidate interviews. They will not be done by the commission. So that's a new policy. I think I sent a note out as information just to let the folks know. Shouldn't have been new because that was what was talked about, at the joint workshop earlier this year. We do anticipate that those interviews are going to be taking place, I believe, at the December 9th meeting or as part of it or in advance of. The council's directive is that both existing candidates who want to be, or existing commissioners who want to be reappointed and any new candidates, everybody's going to be interviewed, if that's the direction the council goes. I think originally, we thought maybe it might be a letter, but there is an application that should be filled out. It's on the website. We have one of our members that's seeking reappointment, and so, that should be completed,
By the 24th.
but yeah, as
At
soon as convenient.
4:30.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. You know, a lot of the reason we're doing this, I mean, Mayor Holt has wanted to do this since he started on the council, is that, we all have to work towards keeping interest in our volunteerism. And, if we end up with somebody, and I'm not pointing fingers at anything, I'm just saying, what if you end up with a retired engineer who's been in this field for 40 years versus somebody who just has an interest in city planning. You know, we want the opportunity to get the best, most qualified people who can add to our making decision. And I mean, everybody here does a great job. I don't think anybody's pointing fingers. It's just, I think Mayor Holt and I think all of us agreed that, you know, we all have to campaign every 4 years and try to hold our job if we want it. And he feels strongly that commission should do the same. So, and remember, we did talk quite a bit about this at our joint meeting.
Right,
That this was going to be happening.
Yep.
It might be a nice thing to involve the commission chairs in that interview process, because the person might have some pointed questions for, you know, regarding how the commission operates and.
That's not in the policy that was
But
approved.
Sarah
It could
would
be
be
a-
there because she's, I mean, you're the
Staff.
planning commission
She's a staff liaison.
point person,
Yeah.
so, you know, you would be there. But that's a good point. I will bring that up.
Well, and I do think collaboration, you know, with the commissions and is a great thing. And if you hired the right people, like you're paying them. If you enlist the right people, then, you know, it'll give you more comfort in delegating some of those decisions and
Yeah, I mean, in the
recommendations,
past,
right?
you know, we get handed the forms, and we don't get an opportunity to talk to anybody. It just
Yeah.
really is backwards. And every city, according to Jesse, and
Yeah.
does it this way. It goes
Yeah,
through the city
yeah,
council.
And it
So,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you have to rely on those
Correct.
decisions.
And rely on the recommendations
Yeah,
coming from people we respect
exactly.
and trust.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I guess if it's an option, I would recommend giving the chair of whatever committee the right to sit in on those meetings as well.
yeah,
too.
that's what Sherry just said, and I think that's a good
Yeah, I
idea.
think
I'll mention that. That's a good idea.
I mean, whether it's written in the policy or
That's what I
not,
mean,
the
yeah.
council can,
Correct.
yeah, the council
Yeah.
can decide to do that.
Yeah. No, I think that's
Okay, further comments
really appropriate.
about this issue?
Thank you, Ms. McEnany.
All right, do we have anything else, Sarah?
Reminder.
Excuse me, I should ask
Yes, defer to Ms.
Cheers.
McEnany first.
Okay.
Councilmember McEnany, do you have anything? from
Just,
the-
I don't have anything from past meetings, but remember the tree lighting is
Thursday.
Thursday, and they've been down there just working their tails off. They're really going overboard this year. It's gonna look really beautiful. And that's from 6 to 8, and then remember the free Thanksgiving meal, if anybody has want or desire to donate their time or monetarily, it's gonna be held at the Legion on Thanksgiving from 12 to 4. Also looking for volunteers to help serve or clean. And then there's a holiday luncheon for the Mound Rotary. That's going to be December 16th at, I believe that is going to be at Lafayette. I'm pretty sure it's Lafayette. From 12 to 1, it's $30, and it's their annual holiday luncheon
That's a really lovely.
to keep people kind of updated on their success stories and fundraising efforts.
The Rotary?
Yeah.
Do you know that? Excuse me, do you know that?
Would you, could I just make one comment
Go ahead.
before we close? I know we're at the point. I just would like to say to Sarah, I have recently gone through the permitting process. And I need to give kudos to Sarah because her response time on any request, right? Her follow through, I mean, she is top notch. And I really want to give her kudos for that.
And our longest-serving employee in Mound.
I think
Yes,
Colette
20, is it
I think
28
that's-
years?
No,
Or no,
Colette
Colette's
is.
the longest,
Yeah.
at 28
Thank you.
years. And
very
you're how many
thoughtful,
years,
but
24?
It was a pleasure working with you.
Well,
really
I mean,
was.
it's complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, what she does and
Yeah.
what she looks at, and my side yard is really my backyard. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, right? Stuff.
And I
that-
have really good support too.
Yeah.
So I
Correct.
have to.
Well,
all
but
the people
your
that-
communication.
All the
and-
people that work with me.
Yeah,
also
but
deserve
your
that.
personal communication is
Well,
top
thank you.
notch.
I
So
appreciate that.
I just wanted to share that.
Okay, anything from you, sir?
No, I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving.
Next-
Come to, tree lighting on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah,
Winter rules are in effect, right? Parking.
yeah, they,
The 15th.
thank you, they
15th.
started the
Parking rules will
15th,
start the 15th, so they started.
2 AM to 6 AM.
Okay.
I'm aware, my roof's coming off my garage.
I know, it's rough, and you know, it's hard when you see no forecasted snow. And
Yeah, and then we can't park on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a rough
Luckily, I
time
have
of
good
year.
neighbors who will.
Okay, next meeting is Tuesday, December 2nd
Yep.
at 6 PM. Are there any information items?
The Halsted Point applications will be on the December 2nd meeting, so we'll have public hearing
that's
for
great.
those.
Halsted
I
Point
heard they
is,
just passed over
North
minutes.
is that the old
Point.
trailer park?
Yes, North Point.
Manufactured
housing.
North Point on Halsted Bay for the Mound side.
Okay, good.
And they did just pass on the minute Trista side.
They have
I think at the last
conditional
meeting.
approvals several months ago.
Yeah,
Yep.
but they just had a big conversation on Monday. I happened to watch the meeting for another reason, and I heard that, so.
Kathy,
exciting.
one of the things too is that if we ever want to have the watershed present at the planning commission meeting, they would be happy to do that. So,
At planning?
At planning, at
Or council.
council, at, I know they do periodically
Yeah,
at
they
the
do.
council, but at planning.
Oh, that
they
would be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, any other information items? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everyone.